I've played a lot of Pragmata. Thought I'd have complaints. Figured I oughta. But when it comes down to it, nada. I'll say it up front. This game is stellar. Capcom has been on a hot streak. This is a developer that isn't afraid to be creative and put out games that feel genuinely unique. Without going too deep into their recent history, they're putting out Monster Hunter and Resident Evil, while still making time for something like Dragon's Dogma 2, and following it up with something as artistic and experimental as Kunitsugami. They take risks. Pragmata feels like a direct result of that mindset. The way Capcom is operating right now is clearly working, and it's hard not to respect it. So what is Pragmata? This feels like the kind of game that could spin off its own subgenre, a Pragmata-like. On the surface, it's a tight, third-person shooter, but Capcom layers in a core mechanic that fundamentally changes how you engage with combat, and it's just different enough to feel new without being overcomplicated. You play as Hugh, a spaceman, who in my case is dressed like a samurai, because that skin came with the game. Spacesuits are cool, but samurai wins every time. He's accompanied by Diana, an AI who looks and acts like a kid, but somehow avoids every usual pitfall that comes with that. I'll say this, I'm not a father and don't plan to be, but if kids were like Diana, that might have made me reconsider my stance on furthering humanity. I digress. Also, for Diana, ninja outfit. Kids in games usually wear thin for me. Even in something like God of War, Atreus was enough for me to drop Ragnarok entirely. Diana doesn't have that problem. She's likable. The banter works. She adds to the experience instead of dragging it down. And more importantly, she matters in gameplay. Diana is the mechanic that separates this game from everything else. Outside of combat, she handles hacking puzzles, nodes, terminals, opening paths. In combat, she's essential. You are not ignoring this system. You are not bypassing it. The game is built around it, and it's better for that. Hugh controls exactly how you'd want. Tight, responsive, third-person shooting. Aim with left trigger, fire with right, dodge on the bumper. It's all familiar. But when you lock onto an enemy, Diana initiates a hacking sequence. These are node-based mini-systems you navigate using the face buttons. You're aiming for the green node, avoiding red ones, and grabbing as many beneficial nodes as possible along the way. It sounds simple, and it is, but it works. It forces you to multitask in a way that feels natural. When things escalate and you're dealing with multiple enemies in tight spaces, you're prioritizing targets, thinking ahead, and managing pressure. You can try to ignore the hacking, but your damage drops off hard. It's not viable, and that's exactly why it works so well. The game starts off easy, but it ramps in a way that feels deliberate. Encounters become more engaging without ever feeling cheap. It's not a difficult game, but that's not a weakness. The curve feels right. You're always engaged, always thinking, but never fighting the game itself. This is a well-built system, and it shows a level of control and understanding that Capcom has clearly refined over time. The bosses follow that same philosophy. Beating them on the first try is common, but it doesn't feel hollow. You still have to be sharp, you still have to engage with the systems properly. As someone who enjoys the challenge of something like Dark Souls, this didn't bother me at all. If anything, it highlights how well these encounters are designed. They're fair, clean, and don't rely on frustration to feel meaningful. The combat system carries the game, and it's strong enough to do that. Backing that up is a solid progression system. You've got a home base you can access from checkpoints, and from there you can unlock suit upgrades using resources found throughout the game. There's also a separate currency from combat that feeds into weapon upgrades and perks. It's straightforward, easy to follow, and the upgrades feel worth getting. No unnecessary complexity, no wasted systems. The sectors. Essentially the game's levels are another highlight. They're visually distinct, each with their own identity, and they reward exploration. The game even tells you what's available in each sector, which is great if you're the type that likes to clear everything out. There are also some light Metroidvania elements, paths that stay locked until you come back later with new abilities. It gives you a reason to revisit areas without making it feel forced. You'll also run into red rooms, which are optional combat spaces locked behind keys. These tend to be some of the more engaging encounters in the game, and they're definitely worth seeking out. Beyond that, there are extra systems layered in. Simulation missions that can get surprisingly challenging, and even a bingo-style system that adds another progression track. None of it feels bloated, it all fits. Visually, the game looks great. The setting stands out, and the overall presentation holds up well. The story is fine. It didn't fully hook me, but it never overstays its welcome either. Hugh and Diana carry it well enough, and the game keeps its focus where it should be. This is a gameplay-first experience, and it doesn't get bogged down in long, drawn-out sequences. The heaviest exposition is front-loaded, and after that, it mostly stays out of the way. Audio is solid across the board. Nothing that sticks in your head long-term, but everything fits the tone and does its job well. Something to mention, the game runs on the Steam Deck. That's not something I expected. Given how the game looks, it's always good to see that level of support. That said, if you've got the option to play on a stronger system, it's worth it. And then there's the price. Capcom launched this at $59.99, which says a lot. It's not a long game, but it doesn't pretend to be. It respects your time, and it's priced accordingly. That's not something you see often, and it's worth calling out. Pragmata feels like the kind of game that can sit in multiple spaces at once. It has the potential to become a cult classic, but it's polished enough to land in the mainstream as well. It's familiar, but different in the right ways. It builds on a known foundation and adds something meaningful to it. There's not much here to criticize. If you're looking for a list of issues, you're not getting one from me. Capcom nailed this. I highly recommend this game.
Well, there's something going down. Let's go find out what.